We bring you the latest edition of MBC News with me, Arthur Chokoto. Our sign language interpreter will not be available at the moment, and we apologize for that. But first, a look at our top stories. President Mutharika in talks with various partners to assist government in addressing challenges facing the country. The Department of Disaster Management Affairs, DODMA, impressed with community response towards natural disasters following implementation of its resilience building initiative. And in sports, Silver Strikers beat Moyale Barracks in the FDH Bank Premiership to take the #1 slot in the league. Those are the headlines. Many thanks for joining us. And now the news in detail. His Excellency the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, says he is in talks with various partners to assist government in addressing some of the challenges the country is facing. Professor Mutharika made the remarks at Goliati Trading Center in Cholo when he made a stopover from Data Farm, where he, the First Lady Professor Gertrude Mutharika, and other family members laid wreaths on late Professor Bingwa Mutharika's mausoleum. More in this report.
President Mutharika said there is hope that his recent talks with various partners will soon start bearing fruit and that the country's economy will be on the right track.
Shifame tesa kuri magesa zonongeka ai kwa vurage ndikuti magesi mashina magesi ena ndo kalamba kwambe ena 6 years ena 70 years o kalamba kwambe ndeti program miezi 8 esko akonza pa miezi 8 gata mavura mino sadata zandalama za kunja amisa anai kwa America twigisago Ndibozana na kumanso ndi akulu World Bank. Banki ya zikolonsa pansi ya chumaia. Tankwa nao aditandiza. Koma atenga nthawi. Zimatinga nthawi. Sinotile kankwa kuti ndama zibwera mawa. Yeah. Pakati mati process mapepa osiyana kusaina osiyana komanso evutira osiyana zimatinga nthawi.
President Mutharika also thanked the people from the southern region, particularly Cholo district, for voting for him and the Democratic Progressive Party DPP in large numbers during the September 2025 general elections. He then emphasized the importance of respecting and abiding by the laws of the land, saying with the DPP-led administration, people are living in peace. In his remarks, DPP's Vice President for the South, Joseph Manamveka, who is also the Minister of Finance, hailed President Mutharika for walking his talk, adding that people have food now as a result of his transformational leadership. Furthermore, President Mutharika urged authorities in district councils to be accountable and use the reformed 5 billion kwacha CDF to develop their areas and improve people's livelihoods. President Mutharika and the First Lady, Professor Gertrude Mutharika, were on a private visit to Ndata Farm in the district, where they and other family members laid wreaths on his brother and the country's third president, late Professor Bingwa Mutharika's Mpumulo Wabata mausoleum. Beatrice Juma, MBC, Cholo.
Minister of Information Shadrack Namalomba says government is actively engaging various stakeholders to create a fair and sustainable regulatory framework that supports the growth of both commercial and non-profit radio stations. The minister made the remarks during the launch of Radio Maria Malawi's fundraising event, Mariathon, held in Mangochi. He said it is worrisome that profit and non-profit radio stations pay the same fees in some services, a thing which government is working on to address. Devuma reports.
In his remarks, Dr. Namalomba said there is need to consider the diverse financial capacities and operational models of radio stations in Malawi. He said Fees such as mounting transmitters and towers should be differentiated, bearing in mind that some radio stations are profit-making entities, while others, like Radio Maria, operate primarily as non-profit organizations.
You can imagine to host a transmitter on a tower, it's in dollars and it's a lot of money, even the licensing, except for a community radio. But for radios that are national, but they are not for profit, they are considered the same way that other commercial national radios or TVs are considered. So that is a challenge. And as a Minister of Information and Communication Technology, we have opened up a debate to discuss and to explore how can we make it much easier, much accommodating for these community radios, as well as radios which are national but they are not for commercial purposes.
Director of Radio Maria Malawi, Father Joseph Kimu, said the station survives on well wishers for its operations, and it is for this reason that it came up with the idea of Mariathon.
The launch of Mariathon of Radio Maria is very, very crucial. Why? Because it intensifies the awareness in the listeners of helping Radio Maria. We beg throughout the year. The minister said someone ridiculed that Radio Maria is always begging. But during the marathon period, we intensify the fundraising activities much more than the ordinary days of Radio Maria.
The marathon fundraising will run for 3 months, with Radio Maria Malawi aiming to raise 60 million kwacha. So far, the Minister of Information, Dr. Shadrack Namalomba, has contributed almost 6 million kwacha. Additionally, other contributions came from the second Vice President, Enoch Chihana, Minister of Homeland Security, Peter Mokito, and Conrad Bako, each donating 2 million kwacha. Finance Minister, Joseph Manamveka, has contributed 1 million kwacha. By far, the event has realized 22 million kwacha. Dave Umar, MBC News, Mangochi.
The Department of Disaster Management Affairs, DODMA, says it is impressed with the way communities across the country are responding to natural disasters following implementation of its Resilience Building Initiative. Speaking to MBC, Deputy Director for Response at DODMA, Mebo Mbendera, attributed the development to District Council empowerment and capacity building for community responders. Our reporter, George Banda, has more in this report.
Mbendera said since the launch of the initiative, a lot of people are now taking ownership and they are now responding to natural disasters much faster and more effectively than before.
As DODMA, we work with the district council, so they have been given the mandate as well as a district as to coordinate disaster risk management activities within the district. We're working with the leaders within the community, and DODMA is there to support the district. The response has been so good, and the district was the one that was first on the ground with the RIMC individuals and other people who are involved in the disaster risk management. They were the first responders. So you can see that DODMA was coming in to support, but already some of the people had been moved and mobilized to safer areas within the district and at district level.
Commenting on the development, World Food Programme, WFP Malawi, Head of Programs, Acho Chand, said building resilient communities remains critical in the face of increasing natural disasters.
WFP strongly believes in building resilient communities, and I think we have seen in several parts of the country where we anticipate disasters, the impact is reduced. When we have resilient communities, we can see that they're able to cope with the impact. So I think looking at building resilience both at household level and at community level is really critical to reducing the impact of disasters like this. And for a country like Malawi, where climate change related disasters are very common, building community resilience is really critical.
According to experts, continued investment in community training, early warning systems, and a local coordination will remain a priority as Malawi continues to face growing threat of climate-related disasters. George Banda, MBC News, Blantyre.
Emerge Livelihoods, an non-governmental organization, has expressed commitment to supporting government efforts in empowering small-scale businesses in Malawi through capacity building, climate resilience, and high-potential agribusiness solutions. Investment portfolio analyst for the organization, Gides Msoya, made remarks during a pitching event for top entrepreneurs in Lilongwe. Wanangwa Mvalo has compared this report read in the studios by Margaret Mapando.
Msoya says that through the Accelerating Sustainable Entrepreneurship for Livelihood Development ASLED project, the organization will select 7 out of 23 agribusinesses to receive support aimed at boosting their growth.
We're targeting agribusiness enterprises and helping them scale their business through capacity strengthening and also a small percentage of them through funding. So through their businesses, they're creating jobs, they're becoming climatic resilience and also impacting that in the communities.
The German government, through GIZ, is financing the ASLED project being implemented by Emerge Livelihoods. GIZ representative Geoffrey Mhango said the partnership targets 125 small and medium enterprises to be trained in climate adaptation measures.
So far we have trained 44. Out of the 44 people, they are the ones who are pitching today so that they can be assisted to implement climate adaptation measures within agriculture. So from the 23 who are pitching, we expect that at least 7 will be selected for further consideration to access the result-based finance.
The pitching event in Lilongwe is providing a platform for entrepreneurs to engage with potential investors, development partners and key ecosystem stakeholders, opening doors for collaboration and growth of small agriculture businesses. Those who will be selected from the pitch event will be recommended for support to boost their businesses through funding. As Malawi continues to face economic and climate challenges, initiatives such as ASLED are expected to play a key role in building resilient and sustainable small businesses across the country.
There is a decline in cases of vaccine rejection among parents, especially in Salima and Mangochi. This was found during a media visit to 4 districts conducted to assess progress of the 4-day campaign in the second round of the polio vaccination. Olive Piri reports.
The Ministry of Health, in collaboration with other partners like UNICEF and World Health Organization, WHO, rolled out the second round of a nationwide polio vaccination campaign from Monday, 27th to Thursday, 30th April. The 4-day campaign targeted all children less than 10 years, regardless of their polio vaccination status. During a media tour to Dowa and Zomba districts, authorities indicated that they experienced challenges in a few areas, including vaccine refusals. Dave Nuka is Health Promotion Officer for Dowa District Hospital.
Another challenge is in terms of misinformation and refusals, but we are working with local leaders such as religious as well as traditional authorities to make sure that we address these vaccine hesitancy and refusals.
During a visit to Salima, the district health office indicated that they had recorded impressive progress in the vaccination campaign, saying the daily targets were exceeding as more people turned out to have their children vaccinated. Senior Assistant Environmental Health Officer for the Full Health Center, Kennedy Nyirenda, said there is no vaccine resistance as it was in the previous rounds. Nyirenda highlighted that the positive response is as a result of increased awareness and community engagement.
Previously we had some misconception, but as of now, I believe people have understood the message and the reason why we are giving vaccines, so we don't have such misconception. And a number of people have come to receive the vaccine. There is no vaccine hesitance or resistance, so people are able to receive the vaccine.
Coordinator for Expanded Program on Immunization at Mangochi District Hospital, Gertrude Maeda, expressed satisfaction with the uptake of polio vaccination in the district, saying they have not experienced any resistance to the vaccine.
Of course, some were wondering why we are having around 2, but then so we have reached them with enough information that a child to be immunized has to receive the 3 or more doses as we are doing in the routine. Because in the routine we have 0 dose, first dose, second dose and the third dose. So for the campaign as well, the child to be well protected has also to receive more than 3 doses.
According to the Ministry of Health, the 3rd round of polio vaccination campaign is planned for June. Olive Piri, MBC News, Lilongwe.
This is MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. President Mutharika in talks with various partners to assist government in addressing challenges facing the country. The Department of Disaster Management Affairs, DODMA, impressed with community response towards natural disasters following implementation of its resilience building initiative. And in sports, Silver Strikers beat Moyale Barracks in the FDH Bank Premiership to take the #1 slot in the league.
An accident doesn't just damage a car, it brings hospital bills, repairs, and pressure no one prepares for.
Transport, things, hospital,
but what if one motor policy handled it all? Medical costs covered, funeral support covered.
Motor insurance.
Auto 360.
Auto 360 from UGI in partnership with Old Mutual. One motor policy, no separate covers, no extra premium. Molina Fe. If not, now is the time. Just talk to UGI on 0999 299 180 or visit www.ugi.mw. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Spark Systems Limited has described the launch of its Tier 3 data center as a catalyst for innovation, data sovereignty, as well as digital transformation. Spark Systems Limited Managing Director Wesley Piri pointed out that the data center is ready to host servers, software applications, and other systems from within and across borders.
The launch of the data center marks a turning point in storage and ownership of private data in Malawi. Spark Systems Managing Director Wesley Piri emphasizes that the center will be a catalyst for building the country's digital economy as more companies will be saving forex through outsourcing data storage systems abroad. He says this will also support the growth of new technological innovations.
For most of the companies, they decided now to be hosting data outside. So you host data outside, that means you're not the owner of the data. We talk about data sovereignty, who owns the data. So then you've hosted the data outside. The payment is in dollars. We're having issues again with dollars. So that's why you're having that development in terms of the technology sector is going a bit raw. Then you've got the issue to do with the smaller companies that cannot create their own server rooms, data centers and all that. So for us, bringing in and creating a data center, it's like we've created a space whereby the cost of hosting the data should be way cheap.
Data center manager in the Department of E-Government, Nkhani, has described the data center as key towards achieving the Malawi 2063 agenda as Malawi focuses on self-reliance in all aspects, including digital transformation.
You will recall that within the Malawi 2063 agenda, there are several items that have been outlined in that agenda document. One of which is to transform the country of Malawi into one that's going to self-sustain itself in terms of economy. And to achieve that, it calls for modernization of how we've been doing business as a country. And you cannot talk of modernization without touching on digitalization.
The newly launched private-owned data center is the third center after government launched its own first data center in Blantyre and a second data center in Lilongwe. Trust Office, MBC News, Lilongwe.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Irrigation and Water Development has urged new graduates from Mwimba College of Agriculture to engage into value addition to transform the country's agricultural sector. Controller of Agriculture Services in the ministry, Jerome Nkhani, says this will ensure better return from crop production. Nkhani made the call during a 23rd graduation of the college. More in this report by Lonjezo Msodoka.
A total of 239 students from Mwimba College of Agriculture have graduated with diplomas in agriculture, marking a significant addition to the agriculture sector. Speaking during the graduation ceremony, Nkhani urged the graduates not to wait to be employed, but rather engage in irrigation farming and adopt modern technologies to enable the country meet its production demands.
For the farmers to be able to contribute to the transformational agenda, they need support from graduates and other people that have graduated before. So our celebration at this graduation is that the 239 students that have graduated add to the volumes of manpower that we have at the moment.
Chairperson of the College Council, Vincent Mwale, said the college aligns its programs with national priority areas to ensure it produces graduates that are responsive to the country's needs. Mwale then urged the graduates to use the skills gained in a way that can improve livelihoods.
At the moment, the country is facing challenges. There's a lot of climate change issues that is going on, resulting in youths, and also we're having challenges with maybe pests and diseases that are affecting most of our crops in the country. So what we're encouraging them is the knowledge which we have imparted on them from Mwimba is instrumental to the country's development, especially when we're tackling these challenges. So we want them to meet the industry and achieve this head-on because we know they're capable.
Mwimba College of Agriculture was established in 2001 with the aim of building capacity in the agriculture sector by providing responsive training in agriculture and rural development. The graduation was held under the theme Towards Resilient Agricultural Value Chains in Malawi, highlighting the importance of strengthening agriculture to support sustainable growth and food security in the country. Lonjezo Msodoka, MBC News, Lilongwe.
And finally, in sports, Silver Strikers have continued with their impressive start in the 2026-2027 FDH Bank Premiership as they have edged Mzuzu-based Soldiers Moyale Barracks 4-1 at Silver Stadium. Silver's quest for a sealed #1 slot in the league was made possible through a brace by Andrew Joseph and a goal from Jinsinsi Maonga and Festus Due. Yanko Kachingwe and Paul Muloga have filed this report.
The second week of FDH Premiership have started on a high note at Silver Strikers as they have edged the Soldiers of Kaningina Moyale Barracks 4-0, courtesy of Andrew Joseph, whose brace awarded him a Man of the Match accolade, while Chinsisi Maonga and Festus Due scored a goal each to seal their victory, which has kept them top of the league with 6 points. Peter Mgangla is coach for Silver Strikers.
Not an easy match. I think we started so well. We had a few chances in the early minutes which we did not convert into goals. But on the positive side, we managed to get a goal in the middle of the first half. When we went to the break, we encouraged the boys to say that as long as we keep on creating chances, let's make sure that we convert our chances into goals. So we started not very well, but the chances that we had in the second half, I think we converted them into goals. So that's what makes the difference. After scoring, I think the confidence came back and then we started playing very well.
For his part, coach for Moyale Barracks, Richard Mwansa, accepted defeat, encouraging his boys to keep fighting for better days in the future.
We have lost 4-1. It was very painful losing to Silver Strikers. Yeah, we did very well, especially in the first half, but we really lost our shape and touch in the second half, which was not good enough. We didn't even track, we didn't even make good rotations in the midfield zone, even in the attacking area. We had some chances, but we could not even use them. I think we had no composure, especially the striking force and keeping the ball nicely, which was too bad for us. So, yeah, we'll go back and tell the boys what to do so that we mustn't make these mistakes against Chitipa next weekend.
Elsewhere, AKFC have shared spoils with Red Lions 1-1, and Chitipa United have gotten their first 3 points at home with a 1-goal victory against Blue Eagles, while Luana Mitundu FC have won 1-0 against Kamuzu Barracks.
Well, that item also concludes this edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories before we leave. President Mutharika in talks with various partners to assist government in addressing challenges facing the country. The Department of Disaster Management Affairs, DODMA, impressed with community response towards natural disasters following implementation of its resilience building initiative. And in sports, Silver Strikers beat Moyale Barracks in the FDH Bank Premiership to take the #1 slot in the league. Well, for these and other stories, visit our digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You are with me, Arthur Chokoto. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely night.
Good evening and welcome. It's time for weather update. Cold conditions were experienced over some areas such as Vumbwe, Kasungu, Bolelo, Chitedze, Kia, as well as Mzimba. Partly cloudy to cloudy and cool to mild conditions are expected